Assalamualaikum and a very good day. Today our group will present about critical thinking. So, what is critical thinking? Critical thinking is the ability to think clearly and rationally, understanding the logical connection between ideas. In essence, critical thinking requires you to use your ability to reason. It is about being an active learner rather than a passive recipient of information. Critical thinkers will identify and analyze and solve problems systematically rather than by intuition or instinct.
Next, I'm going to present about the significance of critical thinking. Critical thinking is like a superpower in our everyday lives. It helps us make choices and solve problems by looking at different perspectives. Instead of just accepting information, critical thinking encourages us to question and analyze it. So the real challenges of critical thinking is by the ability for asking some questions such as in what ways does cultural context shape our perceptions of right and wrong? How does technology impact our ability to form genuine connections with others? Is there a universal definition of beauty or is it entirely subjective? These are the questions that we need to encourage, amplify in our lives.
Hi, my name is Nadzmi. Now I would like to talk about top critical thinking skill. First is open-mindedness. Open-mindedness help you to analyze and process information to come to an unbiased conclusion. Part of the critical thinking process is letting your personal biases go and coming to a conclusion based on all of the information. Second is analytical thinking. Analytical thinking evaluating data from multiple sources in order to come to the best conclusion. Analytical thinking allows people to reject bias and strive to gather and consume information to come to the best conclusion. Lastly is observation. Observation helps critical thinker look for things beyond face value. To be a critical thinker, you need to embrace multiple point of view. You can use observation skill to identify potential problems. Next is how to develop critical thinking. First is consider several opinions. When you consider multiple opinions, you expose yourself to different viewpoints and ideas. This diversity can broaden your understanding. Lastly is understanding and empathy thinking. With different viewpoints can improve your ability to engage in constructive discussion and resolve conflict through effective communication.
So hi, today I am Nurin Mieza. I will talk about the 12 critical barriers to critical thinking. But I will highlight 4 main points, which is firstly, why people think there are barriers to critical thinking is because they use emotions instead of logic. Supposedly, people use all facts, data, opinions, and situations to make a final judgment call, but instead they use their heart rather than their minds. Secondly, they have personal bias in companies, which this is a huge obstacle in critical thinking because they overshadows open-minded and fairness. Because failing to hire someone of a specific race, age, religion, preference limited their critical thinking and constraints. So thirdly, is their fear of failure or change. This creates setbacks because it doesn't allow them to think outside of the box. Because sometimes the most efficient way to resolve a problem is to open to a changing things. Lastly, their egocentric thinking. They always occurs when a person examines everything through their me lenses or through their own personal lenses, POV. Evaluating something properly requires an individual to understand and consider other people's perspective too. It's not entirely on ourselves. Moving forward. So how to overcome these barriers in critical thinking? There are 4 ways, which is first, we must acknowledge our flaws. This self-awareness is a pivotal step propelling us halfway towards adopting more effective strategies. By understanding and admitting our shortcomings, it allows us to create critical thinking skills and approach challenges with new clarity and insight. Secondly, one needs to avoid black and white thinking because not all people are all good and all bad. And thirdly, people need to promote fairness and justice because avoiding judgment based on biases and prejudice keeps them out of the process and fosters an unbiased and equitable approach. And lastly, their need to embrace change fearlessly and welcome new experience without hesitation because thinking outside of the box, as you mentioned, is a vital component. And by fostering a mindset open to change, individuals can navigate challenges with creativity and resilience, ultimately enriching their critical thinking skills and achieving greater success in a rapidly evolving world.
I'm Hakim, and I'm going to be presenting about the applications of said critical skills in academia, which we will explain on how this applies to students such as ourselves and lecturers alike. So there's 4 main points that I like to highlight within this section, being a better overall educator, self-direction, information evaluation, and comprehending the weight of evidence. So let's start with being an overall better educator. So from studies, it seems that there's a higher rate of engagement with the students in class where critical thinking skills are often employed. This is because students are more engaged and more interested with the subject matter. And by employing critical thinking skills, it heightens the degree of interest and out-of-class interactions between the students and the lecturers. And so it often pushes both educators and students to more often think creatively about the topic at hand. Secondly, we have a better sense of self-direction. So in general, finishing undergraduate or postgraduate studies, it takes a monumental amount of time, effort, and commitment. And so being able to analyze the job market and get a better idea of what a profession actually does, it allows someone to actually chase something with actual practical value and or being something that they actually enjoy doing. And thirdly, we have information evaluation. With the advent of internet, right, there's an overflowing amount of information that is available nowadays, which could and oftentimes would be intimidating to any person who is not really experienced in this kind of thing. And so by employing critical skills, it allows us to sift through and find relevant and quality information. This will allow us to be able to produce a high caliber academic literature efficiently and elegantly. And lastly, we have comprehending the weight of evidence. So as academics, we understand that any claims must be supported with a sufficient amount of evidence with reasonable and logical arguments. This will allow us to adopt a healthy amount of skepticism and thus makes us harder to be fooled. And this will also result in a person being uphold the integrity and the credibility of a certain person. And so to conclude, it is evident that critical thinking skills is pivotal in achieving success either in career or in life. Therefore, it behooves us to further develop and practice them to better the livelihood of both ourselves and our communities. And so I'd like to say thank you for your time and consideration, and hopefully your time was well spent. That is all from our group. Thank you very much.